Hey everyone, it's Robert A. Listen, I'm really excited to be airing our first video podcast, especially to be doing it with my brother. It's really important to me. But if you have not been exposed to our podcast before, I urge you to go to Apple Podcasts or SoundCloud to listen to the first 5 episodes that we weren't able to capture on film to get a full perspective on what this podcast is about. Without further ado, let's jump into the podcast.
Hello and welcome the listeners to Reaching the Border. I'm your guest host, Ken Stukes. Robert has stepped aside as your host in order to give his perspective on an important issue in the life of brown-skinned boys.
Yes.
His brother Binky also joins us tonight.
What's going on?
Binky,
How y'all doing, people?
Binky, I want you to introduce yourself.
How y'all doing? My name, my real name is Crandell. But everybody that know and love me, they call me Binky or Bink or whatever. As it don't really matter. But anyway, this is my bigger brother. And it's just a pleasure to be here, man. So yeah.
Well, thank you for being with us tonight. You know, Robert, I've known you for a few years. Mm-hmm. And one thing that is surprising, I never knew you had a brother. Yeah. So where did this come from?
Yeah, a lot of people say that. And I guess for me, like we didn't grow up together. We didn't grow up in the same household. We didn't grow up like typical siblings. So right. To be in a position where you have your siblings and like he didn't want to deal with me at first when I was pursuing him and I was trying to build a relationship with him. Like he was resistant to it. So it's kind of weird to say, hey, I got this brother that like I kind of never seen since I was 10, and like we don't have a relationship. But so, it was something I just didn't talk about. It was a painful thing. I mean, I wrote about it in my first book, Infertile Concrete. So, the people who've been with me from the beginning, like they know exactly who he is when they see him, now. But if you haven't like delved into that project early on, which was like almost 10 years ago, you wouldn't know who he was.
I want to ask you now your first memory of Binky.
So, my first actual memory of him, the first time I saw him was, we were on our way to see him because my mother just told me like, oh, you have a little brother? And I'm like, what?
How old were you?
At that time, I was probably about 7. So he was about 2. And I was so offended. I was just like, I'm your son. Like, I'm your only son, right? She had two girls and It was just me. And then she just sprung on me that she had this boy. So, like, my first memory was him being about 2 years old, and going to Carswell Street to, like, meet him for the first time. He was this curly-haired little kid. His pamper was, like, so, like, wet. It was really big. It was a really big pamper. I could tell nobody changed him.
It was swollen, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I said at that moment that I wanted to be in his life. Like, that's not, like, fairy tale story. Like, right. That's legitimate. It was, like, I have to be something for this kid, right? This swollen pamper little boy.
And can I speak on that real quick, bro? Can I speak on that
real quick? Sure, go ahead.
And yeah, like, and everything I know that he's saying is true. Like, even though I was a kid, right? I still remember, like, to the fact of, like, me just being left like that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. For certain amounts of time. So when I hear him say that, it's like, oh, boom, he was here all this time.
So you remember the memory he's talking about the just being.
Well, I don't remember it, but when he say that, it brings context clues to my head that says, okay, he was here, that was him. You see what I'm saying? Because I was like this. Mm-hmm. So he saw me like this. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So I just wanted to bring that. Point of view to the listeners too. Like,
so y'all don't think I'm lying,
right?
Gotcha. So Mickey, I'm going to ask you the same question I just asked Robert. What's your first memory of Robert?
My first memory was my first time actually meeting him at the age of 22.
Okay. Tell me about that.
It was a pretty humbling experience, right? Only because, right, I always wanted a brother, but at the same time I didn't because of what was like things that were said and the things that were said about my mother specifically. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Not because of him.
Get into that specifically.
Not because of him as a person. Like, it was like,
talk about that.
Oh, your mother getting high. Oh, your mother having all these kids. Oh, your mother don't want you. Da da da. Mm-hmm. Oh, you'll never get to know your brothers. They gone. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Or you'll never get to know them. They're gone. They don't make time for you. They don't care about you. Mm. So why would I care about them for? You understand what I'm saying, Ken?
I do understand.
Okay. So it's just like meeting my brother at the age of 22 is crazy. Because coming from a life where I'm from, right, and coming from East Baltimore, 1600 block of Carswell Street in the 1990s, if you don't have a brother to show you, your brother's in the street gonna show you. So that's what I was brought from.
So
it's a pleasure to have him here. I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. I want you to continue.
Go ahead.
Because I feel like this question that I have is more so related to Robert now. Because Binky says his first memory of you when first time meeting you is when you said you were 22, right?
Yep.
So Robert, I want to ask you more so. How did you lose contact with Binky?
I lost contact with Binky the day before my mother died. So I used to go over to my grandmother's house to spend a weekend. It was ritual. My mother wouldn't show up on Friday. I don't know what she was doing, but she just wouldn't show up. She would be there all day Saturday, and she would show up Sunday evening, right? When she came on Saturday, she either came with the kids or she came to get me to go see the kids. So that Saturday, she walked the kids up. We walked them back to Carswell Street. Binky was on my back, actually, walking past the Cloverdale Milk Company to get back to Carswell Street, right? And then the next day, she didn't show up. That Sunday evening, she just didn't show up. And fast forward, we found out, she had died of an overdose. And that day prior to that was the last time I had seen him.
Okay. Gotcha. So, I want to ask you a question. You said on the weekends you would go see your grandmother. What were you doing the week?
I was with my aunt, primarily during this time that we're talking about right now.
Right.
I was staying with my aunt.
Okay. As a result of being, I guess, estranged, did you ever feel a void because you knew you had a brother, but there was no way of contacting him?
Absolutely. Well, I chased him down. I was always in contact with him.
He definitely did. But
like I said,
like I was an adolescent, man. So everything that's going into my mind, it's like a sponge. I'm absorbing. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're talking bad about this person and you my family, I don't like them either.
Gotcha.
You see, that's what they were doing to me.
Exactly.
So I'm writing them letters like, I love you. You're my brother. Like, I want to see you. I miss you. And he has another side that's saying like...
The crazy thing is about it, I don't remember none of these letters. They never reached me. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay.
I'm not saying like I read them and then I forgot about them. They never reached me.
Okay. So, Binky, I'm going to switch it over because
I will have them to this day because I will use them as sentimental value. You see what I'm saying, bro?
So, for what I'm getting is that you were told a lot of things about your half-siblings and your mother.
Right.
So all of the things you were told, were any positive? Were they all negative? Just shed some light on that. What were you told?
As far as my siblings, nobody really knew them. So they couldn't talk about them. It was only just my mother. You understand what I'm saying? Now, some was a positive light, some was a negative light. Some people would say she was like a burst of energy, a burst of life. Like, she could make anybody laugh. Some people say, some people see the face value. So they say, she just do this and she do that and she gonna run around and she don't take care of her kids and she don't da-da-da-da. You understand what I'm saying? But the people that saw her for the mental and the spiritual and saw the person that she was deeper than everything that she was going through, they will understand.
So, who told some of these stories to you?
Just like family members, cousins, aunts, uncles, just like anybody who I would try to reach my hand out to and say, hey, this is my brother. What do you know about him? And all they could give me was background that somebody else told them from the family, which makes me understand that side of the family never even got to know this side of the family. So it was always that line. You understand what I'm saying? It was always that separation. So I can only get to know for myself, which starts something anew, like what we're doing right now.
So did the good outweigh the bad, or did the bad outweigh the good from the stories you were told?
Unfortunately, the bad outweighed the good. But I think that was because of a lot of jealousy, a lot of envy, a lot of pride, a lot of bashfulness, a lot of weakness for not coming out and standing up.
But you know it's crazy though, because the bad never outweighs the good, right? Because I was persistent. Like, I was relentless.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was 12 years old when I first found my brother and sister, and I found them. They were in Virginia. They weren't even in the state that I lived in.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't a time where we had internet, where it was Google, and we can just type things into the internet and it will pop up. Like, no, we still had dial-up connection, right?
AOL.
And as a,
you know, it take like 20 minutes for the AOL to pop up.
Seriously, right?
Yeah.
Like, imagine that. Imagine that as a 12-year-old, right? And I still found them, and I found their address. Like, I found like their aunt that they were with, and I like wrote them letters. Like, I was just relentless. So,
and all this is facts, because at the time we was living with our aunt.
Yeah, and they bounced around so much, like every 7 months they had a new address.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I had to start over all over again, right? But the bad outweighs the good, but all things always work together, you know, because I wasn't gonna give up, and that's why we're having this podcast today.
We'll switch it over, Binky. I have a question now. So, Binky, being that what you said the negative outweighed, well, the bad outweighed the good.
Right.
So, did you hold any resentment in your heart towards your mother?
And like I said, in some way I did, because it was like, at this time when I needed you, when I was the most vulnerable as a child, when I was like, I couldn't fend for myself, and people was leaving me like this.
And that made you feel what?
And
towards your mother?
That made me feel hurt. That made me feel resentment. That made me feel pain. But also pain towards my father. Because you're supposed to be a father. I'm a boy. I'm your child. You don't choose that over me.
What's that?
The high. We was born in the 90s, in the 80s. Everybody knew what was going on. It was a crack epidemic. Especially over East Baltimore. It was a crack epidemic. Anybody that you knew that was of age, that was older than us in their 20s and 30s, was getting high. And if it wasn't off a drug, it was off of the alcohol, which is the same thing.
So you were told that your mother chose drugs over you?
Pretty much, yes.
Gotcha.
So how would you think that would make me feel, Ken? How would that make you feel if you was told for pretty much 10 plus years of your life, this what your mother did?
I would feel some resentment towards my mother as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But now being grown,
it's just crazy, right? And I don't mean to interrupt. It's just perspective.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, I watched my mother try to hide her high from you guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, she struggled all week to be, I guess, a mother.
Right.
Like, and it was like, I gotta go over to my mother, who's my grandmother's house, because I don't want my kids to see me like this. My little kids, right? It's just interesting because she cared about you guys so much that, like, she wanted to, like, keep that away from you. Like, she still had this itch, this struggle, right? That she just couldn't, like, get away from. But it was like, I can't let it affect my other two kids. It's already affected my first two, right? Like, I got to do something better this time. And she tried her best. And it's like someone grows up resenting somebody for trying their best because of their perspective, right? Because of how information is presented.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just crazy.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. And so I'm gonna switch it back because I know, Robert, you said you started. Was it between you? Were you 12 when you started reaching out?
My mother died when I was 10. She was buried when I was 11. I found them by the time I was 12.
So how did you guys eventually, I guess, reconnect? And what
this time? You mean this is
well, the first time you guys ended up reconnecting, because you said once your mother passed.
I don't know. I wrote them a letter, and somebody wrote me a letter back. It probably was my little sister. She probably wrote a letter for the both of them.
Or even my Aunt B.
Yeah.
Shout out my Aunt B, man. She took very good care of me and my sister during those times,
really
man.
did.
And I really appreciate her, and I love her to death. My father's sister. She didn't have to do that, because she already had kids of her own and her own struggle. So thank you, Auntie. Love you.
So I got this letter back, and it had their pictures in it, and I was elated, and I was like, I finally found them, right? I promised my mother at her grave that I would do that. I would find them, and it was gratifying, and that was like the high, right? The high that you keep chasing, right? They talk about like chasing the high. It was like that was the pinnacle moment for me. Right, and it was like, I'm going to find them now. Like, nothing's going to stop me. And as technology started evolving, it made it easier and better for me. And it was like, okay, I can look them up on MySpace. Everybody's on MySpace, right? And I would find them. Everywhere I looked, I would find them. And it just became an obsession. In a sense. It was the one thing I could say that, like, I wasn't going to give up on.
Gotcha. Who initiated that meetup?
The one that started all this?
No, you got how old were you when you initially met Binky?
27.
And Binky, how old were you?
I was
22.
22.
So who initiated that meetup?
That one just kind of happened. I was gonna go see my sister, cause my sister and I had reconnected because I knew my brother didn't want anything to do with me, and
you might as well say that. I was gonna say it wasn't that. It was and it wasn't, right? And I say it was because, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I always wanted a brother. The part where it wasn't, it was kind of like everybody told me all of this about my mother, and he's a part of her, but he's not on this side, so he's on that side, so he must not like me either. As a kid, as an adolescent, you gotta understand, I had a childish way of thinking.
Well, it's developmentally appropriate. It's what without guidance, if nobody's shaping and molding that.
Right.
And you left to your own thoughts and devices. That's what children do.
So not only resentment towards your mother, but resentment towards Robert.
Absolutely.
Okay. Gotcha. So, Binky, if Robert had never reached out to you, do you think you would have reached out to him?
As I got older, like if I could say at the age of 22, yes, I definitely would have reached out to him. Not sooner, only because of the way that I was taught up. Like, the way I was brought up, bro, I was running the streets. I ain't care about nobody else. I cared about $1. I ain't had nothing to wear on my feet or on my, you know what. I ain't had no boxes to wear on me. Nobody never gave me nothing. Everything I had to get, I had to work for. Rob, steal, or kill. Pay Peter to rob. Pay Peter to what they say?
Rob Peter to pay Paul.
Rob Peter to pay Paul. Thank you, bro. That's what I was doing pretty much in my adolescent years. I wasn't having fun. I wasn't what I had for my family. That I loved anyway. That was here. I was in Virginia with my aunts and them.
So what would have changed in your mind, or change your thought process, or just change your mood towards wanting to meet up with him if you wouldn't have reached out? Like so you said you felt that resentment. The
only thing that ever changed that was me seeing him setting a real positive example. When I first seen him post the cover of Fertile Concrete on Facebook, that's when I really started, like, when I clicked on his page, I said, he doing this for kids, he doing this, he doing that, man. Like, after all we've been through, how he doing that? Like, maybe I do need to talk to him. Maybe I do need to reach out for him, because, like, I ain't like that piece of me that I've been missing, that piece of my mama that I've been missing. Like, I yearn for that. So that's what I was looking for in relationships with women. You understand what I'm saying? Because I never had that piece of that.
Gotcha.
Even though I really didn't know what it was, but it was something that was there. It's something in your spirit that's always gonna bring you back, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense to you and the viewers.
It's so interesting that you remember that. I didn't know you remember that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cause he sent me a message. It's like, hey, bro, I see you doing all the positivity, and it just, I just cried.
Right.
Like, it still brings me to tears, like, now, because it was like, that's my little brother, right? And it's like, he resented me, right? And he saw just the nature of who I was, and he acknowledged it. So I was like, I have to take this opportunity to like be vulnerable with him. And I'm not a vulnerable guy. I don't do that. Right? But I had to tell him like, hey, you know, I want to see you. I miss you. I love you. Like I had to tell him in that moment. And he can tell you like that's the very next thing I sent him. Like I was like full court press in a girl DM like all on like she liked your story and you like I think we should see each other tomorrow.
Showing up. It's that last free throw, the last couple seconds in the game.
Exactly. It was like I gotta go all in.
Yeah,
you know, and I say, you know, I love you, I miss you, we should see each other soon.
Right.
Gotcha.
And you know, he was open to it, so that was the start of everything.
That was dope. Yeah, that was definitely dope.
So I know you
So I
spent,
slid in his DMs.
as they would say.
So, excuse me.
I know you spent years trying to, you know, situate that first meetup. When it finally happened, or you guys finally set a date, was there something in your head that made you apprehensive? Like, oh my goodness, what if when I meet him, he's a asshole, or he doesn't like me, or we end up fighting, or...
No, because there was a meetup that happened before the real meetup. Our first real meetup was at Ruby Tuesdays, but
oh yeah,
you
brought me back to that.
I went to see. So one day I went to see my sister, which is really hard for me because I have some real issues with their father. By the way, my brother is a musical artist, and he's written a song called "Foes the Bros" that I'm featured on. Which kind of complements this podcast. So listen on SoundCloud. The song is "Foes to Bros." I'll put a link at the on the video so you can listen to that. It's about this podcast.
It's gonna be lit, y'all. It's gonna be lit. Y'all really gonna understand. It's basically a summary of everything, and it's nice. Composed.
In a nutshell. But
y'all gonna like it.
So I had some animosity to their father because he was involved in my mother's death. Right? And I swore to my mother, I told my mother when I put her in the ground that when I saw their father again, I was going to kill him. I made that promise to her. And I meant it.
See what I'm saying?
With everything in me.
So from my perspective, right, it's kind of like...
And he knew that.
It's your mother. From his perspective, it's your father. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like we was meant to do this. We was meant to butt heads. Right. We was meant to clash.
Right. So. It's how it was designed. Because it's like, I know a truth that you just can't know.
Right.
And I had to deal with the same thing with my little sister. My little sister read my book and she was like, I have some questions. I need to talk to you.
Right, absolutely. And I never knew that until you said that. I said, so that's the whole time. That's why nobody would never tell me. That's why I'm still asking these questions to this day. That's why y'all would never tell me certain things that I got to grow to find out. That made me, that kind of made me resent that side. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yo, why would you... You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it bring me in my emotions sometimes.
Absolutely. That's
nice. It's like I could have been had this and you, the whole time you snatching this away from me because of how you think I might feel. Like, come on.
So when I first saw him, it was by surprise. He just walked out the house with these little gangster braids in, and I was there to see my sister, right? Because we had been connected and she never resented me. So... I didn't know he was there until he walked out, and I was in like a suit. I had a blue suit on. So, I had a light blue shirt. A light blue shirt. I had an orange and blue tie. And like he walks out, and I was preaching at the time. So I was just in a different space, and he walks out. He's like, "Yeah, bro, I see you doing your thing for real. Stay up."
And that was it?
That was it.
Because, man, the only reason, right?
That was it.
Kid don't look at me like that, kid.
After over a decade.
Kid don't look at me
over a decade.
Kid don't look at me like that. Like
he drops the mic on me and walks away. Right?
But see, at the same time, right?
He drinks me.
At the same time, right? It's like I'm just coming back from VA, right? So at the same time, you gotta like think like I'm placed back in this environment, right? My father working, my sister, I don't know what she doing, so all I know is to hop out here and get to know these guys. So I knew them guys more than I knew my brother. That's why, it was so short. Right? So while I'm out here saying this, like, oh, bro, keep doing your thing, bip. I got yo down the street hollering, like, yo, I need you. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because I consider that my brother. Gotcha. You see what I'm saying?
So at that time, it wasn't about blood. It was just about a connection you built.
I felt like they was blood because I didn't have a brother.
You know.
You see what I'm saying?
You know when you were raised by the streets, and that doesn't offend me. Some people are like, that doesn't offend you, no, because when you're raised by the streets, your family is your family. You don't get to pick and you don't get to choose. It's literally like your blood relatives. In your neighborhood, you don't get to pick and choose who your brothers are. So it's like a brotherhood outside of like your relative ties because your relatives have abandoned you.
Absolutely. So that's all you need.
So it was the same thing for me. You know, these are my brothers over here in East Baltimore. Like, you know, they ride for me every day. Like, they'll do whatever. Like, I can make a call right now. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, and it just happens. Right? And like, somebody that's sharing the same blood for me, I'm hoping that one day we can feel that way about each other. I'm not saying today. I'm saying like back then. It was like, I'm hoping one day I get the chance to even feel that way about him. I just got to see his face first. You know what I mean?
So, tell me what happened after that first outing. Did you guys keep in contact?
What? The first one at Ruby Tuesdays?
Yeah, what happened after that first outing?
Bro, tell him you know I act up wherever I go, bro.
It was a good time.
Man. Tell him, because I don't remember half, because I had a couple drinks, Ken. And the food was awesome, man. And we sat down, man, and we rapped and we talked, we laughed. Man, it was definitely one of the best experiences I had with like.
It was the first time I ever went live on social media.
Absolutely.
The first time he made me do it, and I didn't want to because he crazy.
And we took pictures and all that. I was like, hey, that's my bro right here.
And he crashed my car.